What's up, you beauties? It's BatchatBegins back again with another How to Tank guide. Today we're looking at a game in the Waffenträger Ep.4 on the Yamato Harbor map. And one of the most important things to know about the Waffenträger is where it can be played and the strengths of the tank. Now, because the Waffle has a fully rotational turret, you can play it anywhere from the front line to the back line with having little to no major differences. You do have to know the weaknesses of your tank when coming up against enemies. The Waffle has no armor, so it is easily able to be HE'd. But the strengths of the tank are the alpha damage, the reload, the speed, the traverse, and the capability of the turret to turn all the way around, unlike its tier 10 counterpart, the grill. Now, another thing that's very important to do when analyzing a game and deciding where you should position is to take a look at the enemy team lineup. Now, as you can see on the top right, the enemy team has two lighter tanks, the T-92E1 and the Indian Panzer, and we're going to go ahead and assume, like you should every game, that those lighter tanks are going to be going to the medium side of the map. Most World of Tanks maps are set up so that there is a medium lane, a heavy lane, and TD positions. This that I'm in right now is a TD position, one that is covered by a bush and a rock so that TDs can poke out and then have cover when they can poke back. For me right now, I want to play a little bit passive, seeing as we are outnumbered on the medium side. And I want to let our force in town flank through and spot the TDs that are obviously going to be in the TD bush. Now, this won't be the exact case every time in your games. Some games you'll have it to where the team will YOLO one side, whether it be your team or the enemy team. And at that point, you have to decide whether your tank needs to be farther back and letting other people take the damage, or whether your tank needs to be up front, kiting the enemies and dealing the damage from that position. Right now, because we know that the enemy team is being lit and engaging our allies, we're going to be putting an effective fire downrange towards their spawn in order to counter this. Now, it's not always easy to do from this position when you have allies, and I can't be making use of the bush right now because of where the ISU died. So right now, my effective escape route is to go left in case they rush me. But currently, I can be putting in a lot of effective fire and helping my team take down the enemy hit points from a distance like I'm doing right now. I could, in theory, go to the right, flank around them, and get in an even closer position, but that would usually put me within line of fire, and right now, this spot is working out perfectly. Now, the Waffle can be played in different scenarios, this is just being one of them. The Waffle can flank with the team that's over there. It can hold a position behind the mediums, but it genuinely shouldn't be played as the front line of defense. So right now we're just taking advantage of the decent accuracy and the high alpha damage in order to soften up those targets downrange, and it has worked out to a treat for this team. We've absolutely destroyed the enemy without even really having to engage them frontally, and I don't think we were spotted more than twice this game, and we definitely weren't shot at many times. So in other words, we put the Waffle's effective DPM to really, really good use this game. Now you're going to see in the next game how we take care of that to an even further extent. Right now we're just cleaning up. We know we saw the T-92 over here spotted, so we're going to go ahead and take a pincer move and go ahead and take care of him and take him down. And that is it for the first game. We got a 6K game in the Waffle on the Yamato Harbor map. Very, very easy game when your team is competent and able to spot tanks for you. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the second game for today. It is a T-57 heavy game platooned with an AMX-50B. Knowing that we're in two autoloaders, we're going to need to stick together in order to maximize our DPM potential against threats. Now we see that there are two E-100s on the enemy team and a Death Star and a Waffle. There's a very high chance that those people will be sitting around town, seeing as the E-100s find it a lot harder to make use of the medium side on this map. And since we don't want to subject ourselves to an FV4202 or the clip potential of a Batchat AP, me and Positive are going to go near the B cap and just try to prevent them from capping B. Our effective clip potential is somewhere around 2400 DPM. While it won't be able to take out an E100, it will effectively take his gun out of the game because he will be scared to poke the B cap again. Now we see that the 4202 has forgone the medium side of the map in order to go ahead and do exactly what we were doing, which is to try to prevent the B cap. Now, Positive and I are not going to give up this position. In fact, we are going to hold this position as best we can because we know that this is a very important part of the map, which is harder to deal with later on. Unfortunately, I was aiming for the E100 there for his turret, but the Batchat came through and messed my aim up a little bit. But we are not going to abandon town. We are actually just going to reposition for a little while. We have found the AMX-50B as well, meaning that the majority of their team is in town currently. Right now, we are just trying to take our situation in, decide where the enemy tanks are, and who we should isolate first. When you're in an autoloader, it is very good to go ahead and decide who to isolate, because if you can isolate one person, that means you're just being shot by one gun. If you go ahead and rush into, let's say, those two E100s and potentially the TDs, you're going to find yourself having a much worse time. Right now, I can go ahead and isolate the E100 because he is not looking at me and his lower plate is sticking up, meaning I can get all 3 shells in without having to switch to heat and without having to deal with him shooting me and not being able to get my full clip out. Fortunately, I pulled back just far enough to where they can only see my outer drive wheel, meaning that there's no way they're going to pin that. Right now, what I'm doing is just being patient because, as you can see, I'm turning my camera around the corner. And when I do that, I can see who is around the corner and where their guns are pointing. Now, both of those E100s are going to stare me down for quite a while because they do not want to be clipped out again, which is understandable because nobody wants to take 1200 damage without dealing any damage in return. But fortunately, I have the patience to let my team go ahead and flank around them. And as soon as I see the E100 turn his turret, I am going to go ahead and put 3 more shells into him, killing him off. That is just some of the effective use that you can get out of an autoloader. If you're patient and you have the right positioning, you can really damage enemy teams very quickly. Right now, I noticed that the Waffle and the 183 are very isolated, so my thought process here is to try to hit the 183, don't get hit in return, and see if we can damage the Waffle. Unfortunately here, I do not get any fires or anything more than engine damage on the Waffen trigger, so I'm going to go ahead and use the bridge for cover, pull back, and reload my clip. Right now, if the Waffle and the Death Star were smarter players, they would have gone ahead and rushed me down. But the FV obviously does not know whether I'm reloaded or not. He shoots somebody else. I go ahead and finish him off. Turn my attention to the Batchat. Unfortunately, since we can't shoot the Batchat, I am going to go ahead and shoot the Waffle. Now, because the Batchat is on a one-shot, I'm not going to go ahead and bother reloading my clip, and we go ahead and finish him off, making use of 2 very good autoloaders in town against German Super Heavies and TDs. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There'll be more like it coming soon. Make sure to suggest any ideas for new videos on the How to Tank series in the comments below. This has been Batchat, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
I still see your shadows in my room. Can't take back the love that I gave you. It's to the